a one-bedroom apartment in Limassol is it an investment?
Real examples. No, we definitely don't recommend nothing.
Percent of what?
Professionals of the industry, developers, lawyers, builders. What do you want? Do you want a partner or you want to sell it all right out?
And where can you find the contacts to call you? Hello, my name is Valentina. I've recently started working at Dom as a real estate agent, and throughout the day I often hear from my client about investing. They ask questions like where to invest, is it a good idea to invest in Cyprus? So I've decided to ask my colleague Martin, our head of Dom Invest, for him to clearly answer my question.
Let's give it a go. First of all, hello Valentina, and I will be happy to assist.
So could you please tell me in very easy vocabulary, what is investment?
Well, in general, the definition of investment is taking your money and acquiring an asset. Asset can be a real estate, can be a financial instrument, can be bonds, can be a business, as long as it generates a yield, return on your money. So in simple words, you buy something that brings you return on your investment.
So basically a one-bedroom apartment in Limassol is it an investment?
Sure, that is an investment, and a lot of people are very actively participating in these kind of investments. In Dom Invest, we differentiate a little bit from one-bedroom apartments. When we talk about real estate, we deal with whole buildings, residential, commercial, any stage of development, with tenants, without, joint ventures, and all other kind of stuff in between. But as well, we have businesses for sale, we have infrastructure projects, we have marine projects, we have energy projects. Basically, again, returning back to the definition, anything that can bring a return on your investment, that's Dom Invest.
Could you tell us overall about the Cyprus market?
Regarding Cyprus, let's look at a broader picture. Cyprus is a part of the European Union, which is considered worldwide one of the most mature and stable markets in the world. And Cyprus is performing very well within this market. We have shown 3.4 GDP numbers last year, and we're projected to achieve 3 by the end of this year. When relatively looking at other EU market participants, they are performing at 1% or even less. This is no accident because Cyprus offers stability of legal and financial infrastructure of the EU, but as well offers very good tax incentives, massive lifestyle benefits, and as well a relatively simple administrative apparatus. Through these points, lots of international investors come to Cyprus. We see big arrival of investors from Israel, from CIS countries, from Middle East, from Asia, that establish their companies here to use it as a foothold to achieve the European markets.
So you talked before about some numbers, 3.43. Could you tell us more about them, what they mean, what they are?
Yeah, GDP, gross domestic product. This is a number where the whole economy of a country or a zone is being summarized, and it shows how much it grew from last year to the next year. So it would be good that it grows, so that would show that the economy itself is progressing and moving forward. Hence, the 3.4% is a very good number.
Thank you, Martin. And what is the investment trend in the EU overall?
Well, the trends do change, same as well as within fashion. They come and go. But one thing always stays the same. Investors are looking for transparent, well-structured, understandable investments. So that it's clear where the funds come from, how they are generated, what are the expenses, and what potentially might be the risks. Don't get me wrong, there isn't such a thing as a risk-free investment, but the more information you can get about the opportunity, the better decision you can make if this investment falls into your risk appetite as an investor.
So we talked about Europe. What about Cyprus? I've heard something about green economy.
All right, that's a very complex question, but sure, green energy is one of the leading verticals currently in EU and as well in Cyprus. We strive for cleaner energy, we strive for energy independence, So we see a big development and big push to develop photovoltaic fields in Cyprus and provide a more sustainable energy source for the inhabitants of the island. Of course, it comes with its, let's say, complications, but nonetheless, as well, real estate remains one of the dominating verticals in Cyprus, having a strong demand into the residential markets. We have an increased demand in the office space requirements and as well the commercial say, properties. This we see due to the influx of new companies, new people, and due to that as well, we see a new vertical or new verticals being developed into the service industry. See a lot of different kind of businesses popping up that in majority cases are blueprints of more successful businesses abroad that are being brought over to us, like new kind of mechanics, car washes, delivery services, wellness procedures in saloons, and so on and so forth. So all in all, Cyprus is becoming very diverse investment destination, and it is advancing in this stage.
Martin, so you're answering to all those questions, so many details about investment. How do you know all these things? Did you study for it?
Yeah, great question. So, first of all, I'm by nature a curious person. So I like to read and communicate with many other professionals of the industry. By education, I'm a lawyer. Through my professional career, I had the chance to work for several fintech companies, tech, and as well financial institutions, where my responsibilities often did include acquisition of new business and deals, structuring of those deals, direct negotiations on different kind of levels with multinational, international companies. Hence, I would say it's majority experience.
So you rely on experience.
Yes, the experience is the main driver within this business, as it's very hard to learn these skills in a book or in any university. Sometimes you need to, how to say, break some bones to learn the lesson.
Martin, I'm sure our viewers are interested to know what income and profitability can be obtained in the Cyprus real estate market.
Sure, Cyprus real estate market showing a fairly good return on investment. If we're talking about rentals, on average, you can expect 5 to 8% on the residential, and markets like Limassol,
5 and 8% of what?
5.8 yearly return on your investment money. Of course, this can differentiate based on price you acquired real estate for. So, and as I said, there's as well different markets like Limassol, Paphos, Marnica that offer very different entry price points. There almost is, we can find an option for any kind of investor. There are no nuances with this. That's not always the best or let's say most interesting deals actually come to the market. It's not unusual that these deals are being held within close circles and circulated between industry professionals. The best thing would be to contact us and we can help you out to as well maximize your profits with having access to those kind of deals.
Okay, but could you give us real examples?
Real examples. And the question that I hear so often. Well, Valentina, unfortunately not, because we'll need to sign an NDA and I just can't disclose this information into free access. But I can give you an orientation on the types and percentages that you can expect on average. As I mentioned, for rentals, residentials, 5 till 8. For commercial, it can be around 6 till 9, maybe even 10%. If the investor bought the real estate on the off-plan project, he can expect around 15 to 25% of capital gain by the time the real estate is actually finished. In addition, we have equity investment options with some of our partners that offer to receive credit or take money from you for a fixed amount for a fixed percent. So we're talking about 15, maybe even 20% yearly. And that is guaranteed by the personal loan of the company and as well the owner. In some cases, even with real estate. We as well have access to funds, SISEC regulated funds that invest in real estate. Here the advantages are that with relatively small investment amounts, you get access to big infrastructure projects, big office buildings, or residential complexes where normally you wouldn't be able to participate. And here the return is around 12 to 14% yearly.
So, how do you check projects for realism and sustainability?
Well, I think this actually is one of our biggest tasks and actually the hardest tasks because we need to communicate with the project owners very tightly to review or maybe even say audit given opportunity. We try to ask and let's say and review all the documents supporting the put forward figures. Unfortunately, not always is this possible, and we received a typical phrase, bring the client, bring the investor, and we will give you the information. In these cases, of course, we advise them against it. If the owner insists, then we take it upon ourselves to mitigate the process and manage it from A till Z in such a way that the investor won't feel the difficulty of the communication or the information he's receiving. So we're there requesting it, processing it, providing in it, managing the communication, managing the timelines, so it is received in an orderly, timely manner.
Okay, so you're basically recommending
No,
options?
no, we definitely don't recommend nothing. We present them with all the information available, and then the investor themselves need to make a decision regarding one or the other, whatever fits in their risk appetite or profile, or whatever the criteria they have choosing their next investment opportunity.
So, Martin, tell me, do you invest yourself?
Yes, of course I do. I participate in the financial markets. I invest in precious metals, in the digital economy or digital assets, so to say, and as well partially in some startups, you can say like that.
Dom Invest is a relatively new direction. What differentiates you from other competitors in the market?
Yes, indeed. It's a new company direction and we had our first year anniversary this year. In general, what differentiates us is our extensive network that is being built through the years and on real estate of professionals of the industry, developers, lawyers, builders, and everybody who's in between. So we know who to call, we know with who to talk, and that is our strongest point. Regarding competitors, we really don't see anyone as our competitors. We see colleagues of industry. So we are happy to work with everybody and move forward in a way that is beneficial for everybody.
What format of interaction does Dom Invest offer to businesses? Like just listing or how?
No, the listing is the smallest thing. When we take up investment opportunity, our main responsibility is to study it inside out. We want to understand everything about it, how it works, how it functions, and so later we can present it to the investors as it would be our own. So as well, the life cycle of the process, we take it off on ourselves. We speak with the investor, we present it, we try to answer all the questions. And only if we lack some information, then we involve the owner. We want to bring a ready client that has signed an MOU that is very clear on investment opportunity, so we can proceed actually discussing the last final bits and actually close the deal.
What are the main difficulties faced by business owners in Cyprus when trying to sell a business?
What we see, it's still the communication, especially when we talk about investors that come outside Cyprus. They're not used to the mentality, they're not used to the rhythm of communication or how things are done. So we try to mediate that, being the middleman and speaking both sides, frankly, explaining to the investor that maybe these are the local traditions or nuances that you need to take into account. And as well, explaining to the local business owner that maybe he needs to reply in a timely manner to the requests that are coming. So it's still the communication and as well the structuring of the deal.
What would you advise to those who want to find an investor but they don't know where to start?
First of all, if they want to find an investor, I would assume they have already idea or business to sell. If that's the case, well, congratulations, you're halfway there. The next step is basically to start with review of the business and structuring of the deal, right? What do you want? Do you want a partner or you want to sell it all right out? If so, you need to understand what's it worth, which often we see is the biggest challenge for the business owners, because a lot of times they have invested personally in it. Maybe they're not aware of the situation or valuation of these kind of businesses and what would be, let's say, appropriate valuation for it. So I would say the best and easiest way to go about here, call us. We will help you out. We'll guide you through the process and try to make it as fast as and painful as it is. So from there, you can be on your way finding that investor.
And where can you find the contact to call you?
In the link below, here, please join.
Thank you, Martin, so much for your time. Thank you for helping me understand what is an investment in general better. I hope our viewers also got a better idea of what is an investment. So thank you, Martin, so much.
Valentina, it was my pleasure having this conversation with you, and I hope that it was beneficial not only to you, but for somebody that was listening. As well, if I can talk to our viewer, guys, thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, you can contact us directly or leave them in the comments. We'll be happy to attend. And want to say that this is the first of these kind of podcasts. We'll do many more of them where we'll try to have experts on the show and as well look into particular industries or investment options available on the market. Thank you. Take care.